Robert Shield.
First question.
Hi, Ed Douglas from Superior Height. Avengers had such great action and great set pieces, and I was curious, what's the pressure for Iron Man 3 to have either bigger set pieces, just make it, up to that par?
Well, it's not as we're not aiming for bigger necessarily. We're aiming for different and fresh and new. And Shane, the new director of this movie, want to talk more about that?
Yeah, fresh, different, but yeah, big. There is an idea about being big, but to me it's an idea about capturing and redoubling the intensity that the Avengers managed to capture. That sort of lightening the model feel of really stuffing so much into a limited space. We're trying to get as much of this as we can. Rami refers to it as leaving it all on the field, and I think that's what we're looking to do, is just get a ton of throws in a short space and make a nice little stew for you.
Hi, for Kevin and for Shane, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the Iron Patriot rumors, the picture that was online, and how that actually fits into the film.
Keep a straight face down.
Shane, you want to talk about that?
I believe they were online.
They were online. The interesting, fun thing, the not fun thing is that it's online and you don't have a whole lot of control over that stuff anymore. The fun thing is, the reason it was online because it's a real practical suit. It was on the set and someone took a picture of it. It's actually an awesomely designed suit. And it's a suit that Mr. Cheadle does get to wear at certain points in the movie. And at certain points on the set, maybe not as fun.
And not as fun on the set as it would be in the movie.
The more uncomfortable for the actor, the more satisfying for the audience. But the good news and the fun thing for us, by the way, just in terms of the fans and the fan blogs, is just how much of all the guessing is so wrong. Completely off base. So we're happy to be. I said, let's just get someone in there to walk around as the most obscure Marvel villain ever, and get some costume at Kmart and have that show up. But we love the rumors. We love that. That's fun.
I'm all the way in the front on your right for Shane. You've written a lot of big movies for other directors and producers. Did that prepare you for directing your own big movie, and what surprised you being on the director's side of that equation?
What surprised me, frankly, was just how much generous help was available to me. It made it as easy as it could be. Jon Favreau, available to give me all kinds of tips and advice, and it just made it like walking off of one sort of platform onto another, and gave me the sort of transitional feel I needed. And Marvel has such an effective special effects machine that they could walk me through the process, hold my hand, and pretty much ensure that I was free to concentrate on story, character, and scale. And they just told me, I said, I want to do this. They said, here's how you do it. And within a week, I knew these guys are terrific. They've done this a lot. They do it all the time.
For Robert and Shane, how did the storyline and the success of the Avengers impact what you guys want to do in this movie? And also for Robert, what were the sides of Tony Stark that you wanted to dig into for this one?
Well, kind of like what's already been said, Avengers, even, I think, surprised us to a certain extent. Looking back on it, you can kind of dissect why it was the right movie with the right people, the right director at the right time, and we feel the same way about this now. I feel that Rhodey and Tony had not entirely been explored as much as they might be, and that in the comics was always a big part of it, and to me seemed the heart of what was great about it. And also, we try to be practical in the post-Avengers world. What are his challenges now, and what are some limitations that might be placed on him, and what sort of threat would happen? As usual, we ignore those limitations.
And truthfully, I mean, the way to go about, I think, doing a 3, if you're ever in that position, as I'm lucky enough to be, you've got to find a way that the first 2 aren't done yet. You have to find a way that the story that's emerging is still ongoing, and by the time you finish 3, will have emerged as something resembling the culmination of the trilogy. In other words, how has the story not yet been completely told? And I think we're getting there. I think we've really found ways to make this feel organic and new based on what's come before. And that's what I'm happy about.
Against the wall here on the left.
Hi, this question for Shane and Kevin. Iron Man 2 kind of really set up pieces for the Avengers movie, so how is Iron Man 3 going to kind of focus on Iron Man rather than setting up the next Avengers?
Well, I've already said that this is a very Tony Stark-centric film, meaning not just Tony, but his world with Pepper, with Rhodey. It was important to us as part of sort of the grand plan, if you will, from Iron Man 1 to Avengers, was about building that up. Frankly, the first step of the grand plan with Iron Man 3 is to prove they're just as interesting, if not more so by themselves, as they were when they were all together in the Avengers. So Iron Man 3, by design, is a very serious character study. It's not a serious movie, but we seriously dug into exploring more of Tony, of Rhodey, of Pepper, without calling S.H.I.E.L.D., calling Thor, and I think Cap should be here in 5 minutes or any of that fun.
Over here on the right against the wall.
Any questions for Captain Planet? I mean, what were you thinking? I mean,
I obviously wasn't thinking.
Mike, guys over here, Mark Walters is a big fan, but I was actually going to ask if there was a Captain Planet sequel. No, I'm just kidding. I did want to ask you, Robert, about being able to reteam with Shane on this after Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and the dynamic that you guys have together, working together, and what that was able to sort of bring to this particular production to, you know, kind of make it unique and different and what the flavor was there.
Yeah. Well, I've known Shane for a while. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang was one of my favorite experiences. The script was practically perfect, but we improvised anyway.
You improvised anyway.
And I mean, even just this time around, I've been saying this all day, it's kind of everybody is all, we've made enough mistakes all together that we're all kind of really seasoned at this point. And I think that the main thing is Shane's storytelling and the kind of emotional depth that happens without taking itself too seriously is kind of what John had set up. There was times when Favreau and I and Don would be calling Shane when we had a big scene the next day. He asked, his payment once was he asked that we pick him up a piece of salmon and some fresh blueberries. So he became known as code word blueberries after that. And he's working for about the same fee now.
Yeah.
Right back there.
Aaron Sagers, for Robert, how many more generations does this suit have to go through before you think, you know, it's really kind of there, that is the suit, that's going to be the ultimate suit that you wear? And also for Don, are we going to see you really suit up again?
I do suit up. There are some different iterations that War Machine goes through in this film. I don't want to give them away, but it's fun to see those things sort of morph and shift. And the Iron Man suit is really spectacular in this one. The innovation that's happened with it.
I liked in the comics too that there was a bit of suit envy between.
Yeah. Also, it's great because one suit is a private or enterprise, the other is military. So you've got two Iron Men in essence, you know, private sector and government guy.
Yeah, and for some reason or other, he's still the one they trust.
By the way, I also find it really interesting that there were actually fans today who had anger that the suit was gold. I mean, all the things in the world to get angry about.
So many more.
In the front row here.
So this is kind of a combo question for Robert and Shane. You're so good at having kind of dark and gritty films, and you're so good at playing darker aspects of the character. Will we get to see any more sides like we did in Iron Man 2 of Tony's dark side coming to the fore in this one?
Yeah, I think that's the big idea. But also, you know, interestingly enough, this film has a lot of breadth to it, as well as, we realized, you know, at the beginning of Iron Man 2, Tony's dying, wow. And then he has a party, and then he's drunk, wow. And some people are going like, we don't like him. There's a way to enjoy all of that kind of shadowy stuff. And still, we just kept thinking about what would it really be like if this guy was in this country, and where else could he go in this country, and what sorts of themes and backdrops could we explore. And I think that if you look to the history of the films that Shane's written and he's directed, there's a real desire for me, just as someone who loves the movies, to a harkening back to some of those themes in mainstream films, and they will occur in Iron Man 3.
Right, although Tony won't fall off the wagon. We were just saying, well, actually...
You haven't seen my regrets.
Way in the back on the left side.
He picks him up at Betty Ford, scene 2.
That's it, I made it. Great.
Thank you all for coming today. Avengers rules, Dark Knight rules. For Shane Black, can you talk about at all filming part of the movie in China and how China will come out in parts of the story at all? And also, please make my Marvel.
Thank you. Except the last one. I assume that when the planes crew goes over to China to film the place while I'm by my swimming pool, that it will go exceedingly well. There's been this, it's weird because we're not really going to China. Can I say that?
You just did.
We're not going to China. We made a deal.
Well, this is why I love Shane. He says it and then turns to Kevin an ass if you can say it.
If you remember in Iron Man 2, there's a great sequence in Monaco, a racetrack, and Whiplash comes out and cuts his car down. Many crew members went to Monaco, the first unit that Robert did it. It's a similar sort of Hollywood movie magic that will be occurring in this case.
Yeah, we're setting aspects of the film in China, but we won't be filming there. Don't tell anybody, because
the first unit won't be filming. Yeah.
That stays in this room.
In the second row.
We take it for granted, or I'm sure Golf left. We take it for granted now that the Avengers was an incredibly ambitious project. Talk about the process of ensuring the lore of the previous films and also this film doesn't step on the toes of the larger Marvel projects.
You mean the storyline of Iron Man 3?
Yes.
No, I mean Iron Man 3 is the beginning of the next phase, so it will set the tone in a lot of ways. So it doesn't have, certainly Tony's journey and things could spin forward, but this is as self-contained story as we've done since Iron Man 1.
And right with that, I'm sorry, but when does the kid with the Sharpie goatee get to ask a question?
Iron Man Jr.
We'll get it.
Thank you.
I'll go first. Thanks guys for being here. Erin Tillman, Dating Advice Girl. Just wondering how important romance is to the story of Iron Man 2 and 3, and will there be more romance in Iron Man 3?
I think essentially.
That's his lover column.
The remarkable thing that Jon Favreau managed to do when he forged these kinds of movies is he established a precedent of espionage, high-tech kind of Top Gun style thrills coupled with romantic comedy in a strange way. And it's always sort of been the mainstay of these movies. So that's part of my favorite thing about it too. The romance is definitely a part of this, and obviously we've got Gwyneth coming back, and time has passed, and in the Avengers, Gwyneth and Tony are together and doing great and living together, and so.
Yeah, and Kevin said there's never been a movie like this where your lead guy is in a relationship with a girl he's going home to, who's kind of like Gwyneth Paltrow, telling him what to do. However, Rhodes is single. What are you going to do about that?
This is a dating service?
In the front here, right?
With everything coming out now, Avengers, and now just coming out with the Thor movie, the Captain America, and of course Iron Man 3. How do you guys keep it going, keep it fresh for the audience without having to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm overloaded by all these Marvel films coming out?
Well, I've been at Marvel for 12 years now, and we've had that concern going back to, when X-Men came out, and 2 years later, Spider-Man came out, and in 1 year there were 3, and the trick, the formula, if there is one, is just try to make great movies. Try to make them all great, all different, all fresh. I think what you'll see in Iron Man 3, that Shane is bringing to this, is some very unique plot points and very unique directions that we're taking the character and the franchise. Same thing with Thor, same thing with Cap. As long as they're all feel fresh and you don't start falling into some sort of formulaic mold, I hope.
And let me just say, based on that too, that what Kevin is basically telling you is that we were allowed to take some risks, and I think that's very notable. I think it's very admirable in a superhero movie to be able to take a few risks. That's why I wanted to do this.
Way in the back.
My question's for Kevin, Martin with Martin Bush's Toys. Love Shane Black and work with Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, but being such a smaller film, and Iron Man and the Avengers universe in general being so expansive, what made you know he was the right choice to step in and pick up this project?
Well, he's a great storyteller. He's a great storyteller. He had a great relationship with Robert, and his movie was one of the things that John and I kept going back to when we were casting Tony Stark many years ago. So it made a lot of sense to us, and we knew Joss hadn't done his movie as big as Avengers before we hired two Avengers. As Shane was already saying, we're confident in the infrastructure that we can provide filmmakers, whether they've dealt with something on a scale or not.
I'll just say that I work for DVD copies.
Do it cheap, kid. That was cheap.
And I'm afraid this has to be our last question. The young man with the
It's going to be a great.
My question's for Robert.
Thank you.
How does it feel to be a hero in all the movies?
This is going to be a great answer.
Well, I think I speak for any of us who get to, live in this world, and there was just one of these photo things, a bunch of kids, I think they showed up as Iron Man. There's a couple war machines there, and there's something about it that you just go, wow, what a great opportunity. So it is a, I don't know, it's an odd thing, I take it as seriously as Shakespeare.